Hey, it's beautiful out here. Currently taking a walk and wanted to talk a little bit about psychological suffering. I want to get across that no matter what you're going through, wherever you are in life, there is a way to find an end to psychological suffering. Actually, there are multiple ways, and I'm going to help outline them so that you can realize these truths for yourself. There's no need to ascribe to certain beliefs, views, systems. As long as you have the correct practice and the correct knowledge and you actively apply those, you will find an end to psychological suffering. You know, the most important thing for me was realizing that for myself. Especially as a psychologist, we always talk about psychological suffering, but we never talk about the end to it. We always talk about ways to manage that pain, that difficulty, the realities of life. If there's an end to it, why not go for it? Why not try to find that freedom from your own mind? That's what I ended up looking into starting several years ago. I looked into practices that were based both in science and spirituality, and most importantly, practices I could validate for myself. Not only so that I could find psychological freedom for myself, but also so that I could give it to other people, because my goal, being a psychologist and all, was to help people find their own way in life. There's two things you need to know. Two of the most important things. And these things are correct knowledge and correct practice. If you have both of these wings, you will find your way eventually. Even if it takes time, drop by drop, eventually the pot gets filled. By correct knowledge, I am referring to the different levels of understanding and insight and knowledge that you need to attain awakening. By correct practice, I'm referring to the different knowledge, insight, understanding, and practices. All of those things come together in terms of your behaviors and what you do that lead to awakening. It's most important to find what practices and what knowledges are not conducive to awakening. These are the biggest problems currently, especially within our spiritual businesses, people trying to make money, people exploiting others. I made a previous video on what things to look out for, and I might add on to that later on. But for now, I want to focus on the importance of believing that you can find this freedom for yourself. That alone is the biggest hurdle. Initially, as I was going through scientific literatures, clinical sciences, centuries worth of data, I learned that there was not an end to psychological suffering. We could only manage it. I was never satisfied with this answer, but I didn't know where else to look. And eventually, I started coming upon Eastern literatures more and more. Not just Eastern, but worldwide literatures. And they made this promise of finding an end to psychological suffering. For example, in Buddhist teachings, the Four Noble Truths, they use the term dukkha instead, like an unsatisfactoriness or different kinds of cravings or attachments in life. There's not only the existence of those things, there are also causes and a way to put an end to those causes, which were ascribed as the Fourth Noble Truth, the Eightfold Path. So initially, I was very, admittedly, I was very science focused, and I did not really believe what I was looking into. Everything kind of seemed like superstitious belief, something you had to take on faith, and that wasn't good enough for me. So I decided to put those, hey, how you doing? I decided to put those into practice for myself because I wanted to validate within science and spirituality, because if science is our exploration and our understanding of reality, and spirituality is our practical first-person experiential understanding of reality, I didn't see why the two should conflict. They should cooperate, synergize more than anything else. So as I applied these various practices, I always maintained that belief that there is an end to psychological suffering. Admittedly, that was the only thing I took on faith, because I wanted to find down to the bottom whether or not there was any truth to these spiritual teachings. And there, in fact, are truths. They are few and far between, but they are out there. And I decided to write a book about that. It's The Psychology of Awakening. It's currently in press, to help share what those truths are, so that people know where to look, and people know how to digest literature for themselves. Because without that, you could be looking into things for decades and you'll never find a solid answer for yourself. Hey, how you doing? So once you get to that point and you're willing to put things into practice for yourself, then you'll find those freedoms eventually. But again, it boils down to correct knowledge and correct practices. Those are the two things you need. I'm not trying to sell anything. There's nothing you need to take on belief or faith, other than the fact that there is an end to psychological suffering. You have to take that on belief, because that's the end point of everything that you are going to learn and practice. And once you are able to do that, that's when you'll start to find answers. Because without that belief, you're always going to be skeptical. When you are skeptical and questioning things, your mind is running in a way that's not conducive to awakening, because much of the practice involves retraining many parts of your brain so that you can process information more intelligently through the basis of insight and contextual views, as opposed to knowledge and narrow-based but detailed views of information. So I'll leave it at that. Just want you to believe for now, no matter what you're going through in life. Whether you're in a good place, a bad place, a doubtful place, whatever place, there is an end to psychological suffering. And once you believe that, you will start to find the way, once you figure out what the correct knowledge is and correct practices are, which I will be sharing in this channel. And admittedly, I'm still new to this YouTube thing, so it's going to take me time, but as I get comments and feedback, hopefully people have an interest in this kind of information. I will integrate as you want me to and help teach so that we can all attain better mental health and find freedom within our lives. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy the rest of this walk.